Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of News Talk. If you've joined us before, you'll know that in this space, David and I talk about stories that are making headlines all around the world. Let's start by introducing ourselves. My name is Stephanie, and I'm always delighted to be joined by David. Hi, David.
Hi, Stephanie, and hello, everybody. Yes, it's great to be with you again as Stephanie's just said, we'll be talking about three very topical stories in the news, and we'd love to hear your comments, your opinions about these topics, and hopefully you'll learn a bit about them and some new vocabulary.
Absolutely. And that's the main idea here. We really want you to take part and increase your vocabulary. We'll start by asking you to guess which stories we're going to be talking about. Then we'll move through each one in more detail. And please do join in the discussion. Use the comment box, type in what you think. If you've got any opinions, please do take part.
Great.
Okay, shall we get started?
Indeed.
Okay, so let's find out then the three stories we're going to be talking about this week.
So the first one, we're asking, which country is the UK planning to send illegal migrants to? A very hot topic in Europe, particularly, and especially in the summer months.
Absolutely. Any ideas? Which country? If you think you know, type in the comments. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong, have a guess. Our second story, we're moving on to Disney. Now, which new Disney film will not open? So notice the negative there. It's not going to be shown in at least 14 countries. Do you have any idea which film this is?
And to end, we'll be looking at some really hot temperatures. So we're asking, where is the hottest place on the planet, on Earth? Where do you think? Please do write in the comments box and tell us what you think.
Absolutely. I can see lots of people joining in and telling us where they're from, which of course is fascinating because it shows what an international audience we have this evening.
Absolutely. And hello, everybody. And thank you again for joining us.
Okay, let's get started then with our first story today. Okay, so this is all about the UK's first migrant flight to Rwanda. So, very well done if you managed to guess that Rwanda is the country we are talking about here. Now, this story is all about the UK and the first flight taking asylum seekers to Rwanda that did not take off after a last minute intervention by the European Court of Human Rights. Now, at least 30 people who were due to have been on board had successfully argued that they shouldn't be deported on health or human rights grounds. So that's the story that's been making a lot of headlines, certainly here in the UK, and also causing a lot of controversy.
So we'd love to hear what you think about this. So the British government has a problem because there are so many people who want to come and to escape to escape their own countries for whatever reason and to move into the UK, and then they become asylum seekers, and the government's attitude is to say, okay, we're going to send everybody who is illegal to Rwanda where their application can be processed. So what do we think about that? It's not the first time this has happened. I believe Israel and Australia did a similar thing in past years.
Absolutely. And is this something that happens in your country? How does your country cope, manage, deal with situations like this? And we said there's a lot of controversy surrounding this issue because, of course, as David mentioned, once they arrive in Rwanda, their applications will need to be processed. And there's some disagreement as to how easily that will happen.
There's also an issue that, with the human rights record in Rwanda, and how people will be treated there. Apparently, Rwanda is a very beautiful country, and it's got great scenery, and the people are apparently very friendly, but it's very poor as well. apparently 90% of people live on an income of less than $2 a day. So it's, as we say, it's a very poor country.
Yes, and certainly in Rwanda, they have been preparing for the arrival of these asylum seekers, and they've been preparing rooms, accommodation for people to stay in while they're awaiting a decision on their application. But as we mentioned, the flight did not eventually take off.
Yeah. And again, part of the British government's argument about sending people there is to stop people smuggling. These illegal gangs who charge lots of money to people who are desperate to come to the UK. And then what they do is they give them boats, small boats, and they try and cross the English Channel to come to the UK, and then the UK has a responsibility to rescue them.
Absolutely. And we're not talking about small numbers here, are we? We're talking about huge numbers. I think it was 29,000 people had been detected arriving in Britain on these small boats. And of course, putting people's lives at risk.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, in countries like the UK and Germany and France, many people say, yes, we don't want them, we don't want them. The UK had about 50,000 applications in 2021, but Germany 130,000, France 100,000. So it's a big problem across Europe in particular.
Yeah, a hot topic.
Yeah, Amelia, thank you. Yes, does Rwanda want the migrants? Well, I suspect that they are interested because the UK is paying them about $150 million for this program. So it's going to help their economy.
Absolutely, but a good point you raised there, Amelia. And also, as we were talking about these numbers, as David said, it's not just people arriving in the UK, but also in countries such as Germany. And I wonder, in your country, how does your country deal with the situation? What do they have? What strategies do they have in place to cope or to manage with if there are vast numbers of people arriving?
Yeah, yeah, and I think an interesting vocabulary item is the difference between a refugee and an asylum seeker. So an asylum seeker is someone who says that they are a refugee, but their claim hasn't yet been evaluated. So it's part of the process. And of course, if you seek asylum, then you are afraid of persecution because of religion, nationality, political beliefs. So you feel that you are in danger, and that affects many millions of people in the world.
And hopefully, as we've been talking here, you've noticed us using the highlighted vocabulary here. Shall we have a look at that in a bit more detail, David?
Absolutely.
Okay, so look at the selected words here. We've got, first of all, asylum seekers, which we've been using a lot. Now, as David has just explained, these are people who leave their country because of war or political reasons and travel somewhere else to another country in the hope that they can stay there and receive protection.
Yeah, and as we say, an intervention from the verb intervene. So an intervention is an action that's taken by another, for example, by the authorities to stop or change something.
And finally, we had deported. Now, if you are deported, to be deported, it means you are forcibly removed from a country against your will. So the asylum seekers had argued that they should not be deported from the UK on health or human rights grounds.
And a couple of great comments actually from Emilia. That's really interesting. Thank you. The Czech Republic apparently currently has about 500,000 Ukrainian refugees. And of course, that's creating massive problems because the Czech Republic
The
is,
size.
yeah, is a tenth of the size of Ukraine.
Good
Um,
point there, Amelia.
Yeah, and a great point from Ines as well. People escape and flee their country and put their lives at risk to be in a better place. So it's then unfair to send them to Rwanda. That's not the life that they are looking for.
Very good point there, Ines. Thank you. Let's move on then to our second story today.
Yeah, a bit of a change of theme here. Um, this is, I don't know if we've got any Disney fans. Please do let us know. But the Disney or Pixar Lightyear film, which is a spin-off from the hugely successful Toy Story franchise, won't be opening in at least 14 countries. So it's been banned in those countries, and the film has a controversial moment where a same-sex kiss is portrayed, and I believe that's the first time this has happened in an animated feature film. I think what we are interested in, I think there are two issues here actually. One is what you think about, having a same-sex kiss in a movie and whether that's appropriate. Is it allowed in your country? And then also the we're also interested in the fact that this is still the third largest film that's been released after, I believe, after Jurassic Park and Top Gun Maverick. Then this is the third one. Notice they're all American films. What about films in your countries? Do we get to see them in the UK? Do how does it happen? What do you feel about this exposure that everybody has to American movies?
Well, we already have one Disney fan, David. I can see Amelia saying that she likes Disney. Oh, and
Good,
another, you is a huge fan as well. And
wonderful.
interestingly, as David said, this is a spin-off. So it's a spin-off of the original Toy Story, which I was quite shocked as to how old that is because I remember very clearly when that was released, and I didn't think it was that long ago. David, any ideas when the original was
Yes.
released?
It actually started in 1995, and there were four movies, and I think it's so joyous because it was funny, and the children enjoyed it, but also adults enjoyed it, and that was
I
so
think that's a
clever
good
about it.
point. Yeah, and I think it's that a clever point there that it can be interpreted on so many different levels. So whether you're watching it with young children or whether adults are watching, people could take something from that at many different levels and understand the subtleties of the jokes and the comments that were being made.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I mean, apparently this film hasn't been that successful, possibly because of the controversy, but also I've read a couple of reviews where it says it's actually quite gloomy, quite sad, and not funny. So,
Mixed
the,
reviews, yeah. Absolutely.
okay,
I've read exactly the same, David. Some papers and some sites really raving, saying how fabulous it is, and other sites saying it doesn't live up to expectations. So some real mixed reviews there. And I wonder, do you read the reviews before you go to see something? Do you pay any attention to it? Or do you think, I want to see it, I'll go and see it regardless?
that's true, Maxwell. That's a lovely point. So, he says he was at home remembering that maybe 40 years ago Bugs Bunny kissed Sam and nobody said anything.
Well put there, Maxwell, definitely. Okay. Hello to people just joining. I can see we've got some new people just joining. We are on story number 2 of our news talk this week. So welcome if you've just joined.
Yeah.
Balvinda saying that mostly children watching Disney.
Yeah, that's very true. So he may feel it's not appropriate for children. I don't know. Certainly, a lot of people in the United States are worried on a moral level, but there are many others who say their children have seen it and think, "What's the problem?"
Michaela, not really a Disney fan, but I have watched some films, and I think that's a good point. I think even if you don't consider yourself a Disney fan, probably the majority of us have seen at least one Disney film. It's that far-reaching. It has that much influence over many of our cultures that we have at least seen one.
And any Stephanie, any ideas of one of the biggest films that was ever banned in
Oh,
history? I wonder if
well,
anybody knows any big films that were banned, and then with time they they're not as outrageous as they were at
not
the
as
original
controversial as they
time.
originally seemed.
Yeah.
Well, if you've joined us in the past, you'll know that David does like to ask me some tricky questions. So, as always, I would appreciate some help. Any ideas? Please do type in the comment. I don't actually know. Of course, this is completely unscripted, so I don't know what he's going to ask.
Well, it was actually Last Tango in Paris with Marlon
Really?
Brando. I'm sure everybody knows that one, and that was possibly because of the amount of sex in those days. Um,
You is asking the 14 countries, where are they located?
yeah, good question. And actually, and I don't think you will be that surprised. Most of them are in the Middle East and the Far East, and that excludes China as well, where I think Disney accepts the film will not be released. Um,
Shall we have a look at some vocabulary, David?
Yeah, so we said Lightyear is a spin-off. So a spin-off is a series or a film which comes from another original series, usually one which was very popular and successful. So for example, of course, we had Star Wars, which was massively successful, and then Rogue One, if anybody saw it, that was again a very successful spin-off from the Star Wars series.
Well, you might not guess this, David, but I'm actually a bit of a Star Wars fan. Um, I'm just admitting this to everyone now. So yes, I'm a fan of Star Wars and the spin-offs as well. I did enjoy, I have to say.
Oh, very
Okay,
good. I wonder, have we got any other Star Wars fans?
yes, anyone else want to admit and join me in this, being a Star Wars fan? Our second word here we've got, which we've used actually a lot today. We also use this in our first story when we're talking about something that's controversial, controversy, a subject about which there are very strong opinions. Now, this is both for and against. So, if something is a controversial topic, it's something that really divides opinion. Some people are for it and some people are against it.
Yeah. And then banned, of course, comes from the verb to ban. If you ban something, you prohibit it, you make it illegal. So last week we were talking about marijuana, for example, which is banned in many countries.
And good point there, David. You'll notice if you join us regularly that a lot of this vocabulary does come up again and again. So it's not just in these topics that we can use these words. Oh, Raphael is a fan of Star Wars as well. Thank you, Raphael.
Good. You've got another to join you. And Maxwell, great point again. It's not a secret that children have access to porn even via the internet. So yes, I don't know how we do solve that one.
And Amelia. Thank you, Amelia.
Good.
Okay, time to move on to story number 3. So, did you guess that we're talking about Death Valley? So, the Death Valley heat breaks 101-year-old temperature record. So, on June the 11th, in fact, Death Valley achieved a new record when temperatures reached a high of 123 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that's 50.5 degrees Celsius. The average rainfall there is less than 2 inches. That's 5 centimeters. Now, the world record originally was also recorded in Death Valley in 1913, but not all experts believe that this was accurate. So again, there was some controversy about that as well. Was that an accurate reading at the time? But certainly in this past week, a new record has been achieved.
Now, as we know, we like to ask Stephanie some questions. We like to test her knowledge. So we thought we'd test it on hot places and cold places. Michaela's always decided one of the answers, but we're going to ask Stephanie, and please do help her.
Please do help, yes.
What the hottest place in Europe? Sorry, but I've got this information. I know, we've got people from everywhere, but we're looking at Europe at the moment. The hottest place in Europe and the coldest place, please. And
That's a good one to guess. Please do type in the comments. What do you think?
The hottest, the coldest, and the sunniest, right? So if you can tell us what you think and whether it's your city, maybe it is your city.
Pretty sure none of the answers are going to be the UK.
Oh, Emilia's doing quite well, actually. And I think you were definitely right. Actually, one of the answers, a negative one, yes. So the hottest place in Europe is actually Malta.
Oh,
Would you believe that?
I
Valletta in
wouldn't
Malta.
have guessed that.
Now, this is when we're talking about average. So we're talking over a whole year. So the temperature is on average 22.3 degrees Celsius all year. So I think somebody's also said, Michaela, great answer, Athens, because
I would have guessed Greece.
that's number 2. So it's about 22 degrees centigrade all round. Somebody else said Rome, which is number 3. Fantastic. However, if we're just looking at August, which is obviously the peak of summer, then Athens is the hottest place.
Well done, Michaela.
Athens is the hottest place, and people have spoken about Spain, and Andalusia in Spain is even hotter, about 35 degrees Celsius.
Ooh, that is very warm, isn't it?
And if we're looking at the opposite, then coldest cities. Nice one, Zanya, who's saying the polar or Antarctic is certainly the coldest.
I think we had a guess of somewhere in Norway, didn't we?
Very good. Not bad. Actually, it's Helsinki. Helsinki and Tallinn, they tie for the average 9.1 degrees centigrade there. Anybody living in those sorts of areas?
Anybody from Finland or Estonia?
And the sunny. Any ideas, Stephanie, on the sunniest place?
The sunniest place? Well, I'd probably go with maybe Greece again.
I think that's a very logical answer.
But wrong.
but almost right. It's still Valletta. I mean, obviously, the place to live is Valletta in Malta because of the amount of sunshine it gets. And it's actually not Greece or Spain that you would probably imagine, or the south of Italy, Miguela, but Marseille in France.
Ooh.
That wins the crown. 8 hours of sunshine a day.
Well done if you guessed that. I think nobody typed that in the answers, but maybe you're watching at home and you were thinking, I've been to Marseille and it's a beautifully sunny city. Now,
can I just
David.
check with you the least sunniest? And I think it won't be that difficult to imagine where the least sunniest place in Europe is.
Again, if you'd like to take part, please do join in. David always has statistical questions for me, so I really do appreciate your help here. Type in the chat, what do you think the least sunny?
The least sunny place. But of course, this is all, we'll tell you in a minute, but this is, of course, it's all related to climate change, how temperatures are increasing all the time. And it's far more common to get hot summer days than it is to get cold winter days now.
So Amelia's guessing Estonia, Finland, or Sweden.
Um, it's actually Glasgow in Scotland.
I wonder if anybody guessed that. Has anybody been to Glasgow and perhaps had a sunny day there? Perhaps it wasn't overcast and cloudy when you visited.
Yes, I've been there, and it wasn't cloudy or overcast. It was wonderful, and it's a beautiful city. So please do visit.
So before we check the words, I actually have a question for David.
Oh no.
Yes, I do, David. I'd like to know that, well, we all know that it does rain quite a lot here in the UK, but I'd like to know, what month do you think, in which month does it rain the most?
I would say, I would guess it's probably in the spring, maybe April. April showers. We always talk about April showers.
We do, but that's not the right answer.
Oh,
The correct answer is
well,
actually apparently October. In
oh,
October, we have the most rain and the least falls in May. So May is the time to visit
oh.
the UK.
Well, Samson was agreeing with me. It was April, but obviously we're wrong. And so what are you saying? Don't come to the UK
In October.
in
The
October.
time to visit is May. Beautiful sunny days.
Oh, right.
Let's have a look at some of the vocabulary then. So we started with talking about a record. Now remember, if we talk about a record something, we're talking about the highest, the lowest, the fastest. And we've had lots of these superlatives. The sunniest. We're talking about a record. It's the most.
Yeah. And then average, as you say. So that's the number you get by adding up all the amounts and then dividing that by the number of amounts. So that's how we get the average daily temperature.
And finally, accurate. Now, I said that the original record, many people did not believe it was accurate. If something is accurate, it's exact, precise, and therefore correct.
And that is a summary of Stephanie, I would say.
Thank you very much, David.
Very welcome. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and please do join us at perfectlyspoken.com. You will find all these news articles and lots more, and it's a great way to improve your listening skills and expand your vocabulary.
Absolutely. And we will be here same time, same place next week, broadcasting live with no doubt lots more statistical questions to test me on. So we really do hope to see you here to join in. It's lots of fun and I know we really enjoy it. So please do join us same time, same place next week.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Have a good
Goodbye.
week. Bye-bye.